supports as we look to see where they want to go for this.
Yeah, it does feel like, at least for OMG, they're kind of saying, look, we will take the opposite of the coin, right? We're going to look towards our support here, and we're going to take whatever the other pick that available for the AD carry is. Leona will probably be the best one, but I don't know, but like I'm kind of caught between two minds, right? I think, well, either of the two, Jinx is better between the Aphelios, because you want to be able to play with long range here for Ultra Prime, but the problem that I'm seeing for them is that if you take the AD carry here, right, now you get the better support matchup on the opposite side for ShiauC, right? He can go towards the Leona, and maybe you can go towards something like the Rakan for code on the bot side, but you're still on the back foot for a lot of the laning phase. And when you can go like Jinx Leona here for Ultra Prime, you set up really well for Twisted Fate. You got good opportunities to follow up on picks, and now it feels like, at least for Ultra Prime, they have a lot more wiggle room with the way that they want to play. I would have preferred to see the Jinx coming through here for Abel, just because the range that you have in the push-in would have given him more control over the spot side and kind of made it a little bit more difficult for Cryin to operate on this Twisted Fate. But we're actually going to see the Xayah Rakan locked in for Elk and ShiauC, so strong duo lane coming through for the bot side of Ultra Prime, and certainly one they'll be looking to play aggressive around with this Zhao and Twisted Fate.
That's what I was thinking as well. Yes, you can opt in to go for the Jinx Leona, and it's not a bad situation, but you know that the only real viable support left for Cold is Leona. So you're not really picking blinds. You're very much having a well-educated guess that's going to be locked in, as it is. And now with team comps locked and loaded, it does feel like OMG have a lot of power available to them, but Ultra Prime, they have a definitive idea. They have a definitive way of playing this game. It's all about picks. It's all about Cryin doing what Cryin does best and getting out of the mid lane and out into the side lanes.
It feels like you're playing towards opposite sides of the map here from both sides, though, right? Like, Ultra Prime wants to try and play down around the Xayah Rakan, get them rolling, and maybe you can try and lend some help to ZS, because ZS is going to get a lot of pressure here from OMG, right? Shanji wants to be stepping up massively in this top side so he can get control against the Gwen, take over in side lanes, especially when you're looking at the Ryze and the Jayce. See, the problem that I have with now the Aphelios in that bot lane is that you've kind of messed up your teamfight identity. I feel like here as OMG, like, you don't really have the consistent range across the board now, which the Jayce provides, but you don't really have the all-in potential that the Aphelios provides because you've taken the Jayce in the top lane. So you could have played for ranged and kind of played to kite back, but we're not seeing that now. So I'm not really sure. Like, the team fight from OMG kind of has, in my opinion, like, kind of two mixed identities. So it feels like you're trying to play for side lane a lot more here. So trying to play through Creme and Shanji for Aki feels like it's probably your best.
Yeah, I think this is a big moment here for OMG. You have plenty of firepower behind you. Yes, the composition doesn't work as perfectly as maybe you would like as such, but it's still got a lot of damage available to them. The Jayce can get popping off. We know what Shanji can do on this pick, and we'll see what they're able to do. The Ryze has become such a hotly contested pick for everyone throughout the LPL. See what they're able to do with it for Creme, and now looking onto this, it's going to be Ultra Prime looking to maybe start off the game with a little bit of a sneaky play up towards this alcove in the top side.
Yeah, Shanji just trying to play it safe though, keep himself at check, so won't be able to find Shanji in the bush, so Ultra Prime will just back away. You actually see, if you look towards Cold though, might be looking to see if they can poke their nose in and spot or get a ward down to see where Ultra Prime are starting, but thinks the better of it, not really sure where Ultra Prime are, so afraid to go too far into the enemy jungle.
Get a little ward down. It's going to be important for the first skirmishes of the level 1. You can see Elk and Cryin now tentatively, very, very slowly and gently moving themselves into their own jungle. There is no vision here, but they cannot be sure, so they have to group up. I do like this, and if you're ever wondering why they do this, it's called the buddy system. If you don't have the information, you grab yourself a buddy, and at least the mere minimum, you have an opportunity to get the hell out should all things go wrong.
Luckily enough, it hasn't gone wrong for them yet, right? Now we're going to see both junglers starting on this bottom side. Aki going to be able to path up towards the top side. It feels like, again, Aki going to be trying to play through, like, Shanji on this top end, like, support the Jayce in the good matchup on this top end. And then for Hacker, I think the best bet is probably try and put some pressure into mid lane, like help unlock Cryin from the mid, because Creme would just have a field day otherwise, and then try and play towards the level 6 of Cryin and get him access to the spot lane.
Level 6 is going to be very, very important for both the Ryze and the Twisted Fate. We'll see who's able to get out. It's actually an unsealed spell book here for Cryin. We have seen Ryze of the Predator in recent days. Not going to be this one at the moment. Just recommend and just prioritize having those extra summoner spells available to him. See both junglers starting off on their bot side of the jungle, and see a very quick clear coming out here for Hacker in terms of where he is on the map. He's going to be up towards this top side very, very soon, and probably a lot sooner than maybe OMG suspects, so they need to be very careful of where they're pushing, especially in that mid and top side.
Yeah, a quick like 3 camp here for Hacker, but it actually looks like he's just going to boomerang and come back down towards the top side. So trying to see if he can desync a little bit from Aki, as they did see Abel and Cold moving back in towards this bot side, so no, that Aki has started on this bot side of the map, and you're probably going to end up with a full clear for the Hecarim, right, just because of how good his clearing is. So instead you can see Hacker, right, trying to see if he can get bot, and it means that if he desyncs himself from Aki, he's got more opportunities to look for plays in lanes that aren't as strong, right? Like, could potentially make play towards ZS, or even try and make a play towards Cryin.
And a little bit of context as well. I wanted to get, maybe we have a bit of time here, and I want to try and give you a bit of a room to explain what is happening, or why we see the jayce into the Gwen so often, and how is it such a, not a coin flip is probably the wrong term for it, but definitely something that can go either way. How does this matchup generally work out in your mind?
So I'm actually going to hold on to this, because Hacker, I think, is going to make the play bot side here.
Yep, they are, as Abel gonna have to force his flash out. You could imagine we're gonna see Cole just trying to go in. Abel will get away from the wind, becomes lightning, but he does not need it. Now Hacker has got the third. No! Oh. The shield of Daybreak is just there from Cole, and that's a little bit unfortunate there from Ultra Prime.
Yeah, nice stun from Cole, but I think, you know, greedy coming through from Hacker. I think you just turn towards the Leona and actually make the play. Now you've got ZS, who's got to completely back away, because, as we said, Creme having pushed in this mid lane, linking up with Aki in the early stages, and giving Shanji control. And one of the reasons that this matchup sucks so much for ZS is just you're not able to really fight toe-to-toe against the jayce, right? Oftentimes when you start to move up, you're getting good poke from the jayce. You often... Even if you try and use the snip, you see the phase rush coming through from the jayce as well, so he's able to like keep his distance. And you're trying to play around your hollowed mist to make sure you're able to make those plays happen, but it becomes really tough to try and play properly around that hollowed mist. Hacker here, though, in the replay, I'm going to be able to go into Abel. I think you just knock up Cold here. Like, even with the flash forward, right? I don't know if they were trying to hope for some sort of like root coming through from Elk to follow up there, but it felt like kind of a winging it on a prayer. But now Cold moving up, trying to see if he can get the stun onto ShiauC.
Yeah, well, ShiauC, you have no buddy here. And talked about the buddy system, and you can see now already taking about half his H-bar out as Cole just kind of walks forward menacingly. Gets a decent amount of damage, and that's the thing. Yes, the Xayah Rakan can be obnoxiously potent and kind of, you know, harassing, getting back, joining in with the recall. One of the small little passives people kind of forget about when the Xayah or the Rakan starts their recall. The other half of that duo can combo in and, you know, make themselves known about it. But Hacker, not to be outdone, looks like he's going to try and go for something in this bot side again. But Aki and Creme are wise to his tricks, and they're saying, look, you did this in game 1, we're going to do it in game 2. But see if it's all for naught. We're going to go straight in to get the knock up. They're going to be able to get Abel down. It's going to be a 3v3 now on the bot side as Elk gets a lot of damage put down on top of him. He gets burned over by the Aki Hecarim, and they're going to be able to take down another kill as well. Good roam here from OMG. They get 2 for 1 in the deal.
I know OMG, I'm loving that they're playing this more aggressive in the early stages. May still get ShiauC, who didn't back away.
Did not back away, and he did in fact get himself a flash to engage, and that means they're going to need to get that one. But the Destiny Gate up towards that top side means that Shanji is dead. It is a response here from Ultra Prime, something we did not see from OMG in game 1, but it's still 3 for 2 overall for OMG.
Yeah, a ton of plays happening around the map. OMG, though, still feels like they're coming out on top. 1,000 gold lead for themselves, a massive wave being lost, and maybe Big 2.
Big 2 as they're going to see Elk, and Elk has nowhere to go, nowhere to be. Creme now 3-0-1 on this Ryze. We wondered how this Ryze was going to be able to roam away. He doesn't even need to anymore. He's so fed off of those 3 kills. He's going to be huge coming into this mid-game.
And this is why I didn't really want to see the Twisted Fate picked into the Ryze. Ryze is so good at commanding that lane, right? He's got a ton of push. You just can't really answer for Cryin. Like, even though you tend to take like the minion dematerializer in as the Twisted Fate to try and like help out and get some pressure in the mid, Ryze just is able to clear too fast for you, because you kind of need 2 spell rotations as Twisted Fate to get out. Now, as you can see here, Cryin because Creme invests that time, bot is able to respond on the top side. But when you're playing a Twisted Fate like this, you want to be the one that's proactive on the map, not the one that's being reactive. And here, Ultra Prime, Elk just a little bit unfortunate. He was trying to see if he could proc the summon area in the bush. That's why we saw the Q go through, and like it doesn't give vision, but the summon area if it hit would send out obviously the rune, but unfortunately doesn't quite connect, which means he has no idea that they're in the bush.
Very unfortunate, and unfortunately for him, it goes down to 0-2, and now down about 16 CS or so. It's going to be on Ultra Prime to bring him back in here, as now we see Hacker hovering towards this mid lane. They know Creme has no flash. The Realm Orb should be down as well, so you can see already trying to make something work here for the side of Ultra Prime and punish this Ryze, which, as we said before, is very, very big. Even rush towards the Mercury Treads to just give themselves a little bit of extra survivability, should they even be caught out.
And this game is looking so much better for OMG, right? You've got 3 kills now for the Ryze in the mid lane. You've established really good control over the bot side for Abel. Shanji as well, even though he's gotten a bit of attention, has been doing a really good job of punishing this matchup against ZS. So he's in a really good spot. And now OMG at the 8-minute mark are rotating up for Rift Herald with just wins across the board. Ultra Prime are not able to contest this at all, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them trying to make some sort of play down on towards the bottom side, especially as Abel and Cold start to move back down towards this bot lane. Like, literally just shove mid, run bot straight off of this push from Elk.
Yeah, and straight away you can see them now. They're kind of doing exactly that, recognizing they have got themselves the pressure in the top lane and the mids. They're going to say, look, we got this Rift Herald for free, no real contention there. And now Elk, a little bit of free time here. I'd say he's very much appreciative of that as he gets a little bit more XP and gold back into his pocket. He is not actually down any gold, but definitely down in experience, as you can see the level difference there between himself and Abel. Rift Herald has been now secured by OMG, but good pressure here from the bot side means they'll pick up 2 plates, and that's pretty much answering to what the initial upfront cost is of that Rift Herald.
Even if Cryin didn't get down to the bot side of the map, he hid in Fog of War for long enough that Abel and Cold did get scared and had to back away. It's the correct call from Abel and Cold, and it means that you do have to give up 2 plates with just Cryin missing on the map. And that's the power of the Twisted Fate in an awful lot of situations. It's just because Creme are committed towards Rift Herald, they just can't keep up the pace with Cryin being able to move, so they back off. Now Ultra Prime, still keeping about 600 gold, just slightly behind, so still trying to see if they can make plays happen, but it does just feel like, at least for the moment, they're struggling a little bit to get access to the map and get the ball rolling, which is what Twisted Fate really needs to happen.
Yeah, I will say, obviously, this is the Twisted Fate passage, the loaded dice, giving him extra gold. He's only down about 200 gold. Not even, actually, about 150. So you can see now Creme maybe in a little bit of trouble here. Aki is around. They have got Gwen. I think they recognize the reason Ultra Prime are probably going so ham is that the Rakan was very closely following behind, so needed to respect that and respect the fact that they couldn't maybe go for something as aggressive as Aki and Creme now go aggressive onto Hacker. Hacker might have to use the Crescent Guard here. Yes, he will, but it's all too little too late. They're going to try and jump on top of him. The Destiny Gate comes out. They're burning down Creme as he eventually goes down, but not before he takes down ShiauC. Now Cole in a little bit of trouble. We are going to see the needlework doing some work. You're right on top of a chokehold here. This is going to do a lot to just kind of burn these people down, but they've got Aki coming back in on the top of this. They're going to jump back in, as we can see now. ShiauC trying to make this one work. Cryin goes golden, but he's going to have to try and flash over the wall. He gets the gold card off and then flashes away. Ultra Prime are getting away with murder, and Gwen is snipping through these health bars. Aki should be able to get himself back out and alive, but a great turnaround there from Ultra Prime.
And just disjointed again from OMG. You see the initial play come through, but they're not really in position to try and follow up. Code is still trying to get in towards the engagement. And then after that, they end up going way too far forward as Aki has to run away. So they end up in a 2v3 then after this for the majority of the fight. So you can see here, right? ShiauC in a position with Hacker, gets the shield, gets the knockup. Cryine's able to reposition perfectly with the Destiny. So they end up trading 1 for 1. But watch here, right? Aki runs one direction, Cold runs the other. And now Aki's just caught out in the cold where he doesn't know where he's supposed to go. And Ultra Prime are just fighting 2v3 for the large majority of this. And as you said, Oshin, great play here for Cryin, right? Locking the gold card while he's in stasis. And it means then that Ultra Prime are able to finish it off, whereas Aki just managing to escape away off the speed buff thanks to that Rift Scuffle.
So close, and now I learned something. You can lock card in stasis if you pop it in just before you go into the Zhonya's, so Ultra Prime now coming back onto the map. They will be ahead on gold. You've got the Rift Maker now for ZS, and he's just playing this top side so well. He's playing weak side so well because he knows, yes, I'm going to lose this CS. Yes, I am being focused, but I'm not losing my life, and that's the big thing here. And now, unlike in game one, Ultra Prime are able to get that the second dragon. They're able to equal out that on the map, and they'll lose top turret. It's going to be a lot of gold going over to Shanji here, but again and again, we are seeing Ultra Prime reacting correctly, I think is the word we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, look, ZS, you can say he's playing weak side well, right? But, like, this is just a terrible matchup for him, and there's not a huge amount you can do, right? Like, it's not a matchup where exactly you'll die, it's just you'll get shoved in and lose your tower, which is pretty much exactly what has happened. And it's been pretty well from Ultra Prime to make these plays in the topside jungle, like, understanding how far they can push it. But it just means that now, OMG, they're still getting the map wins, right? And this is where it starts to struggle as Ultra Prime. Like, if you end up with your top tower now gone, bot tower's taking a little bit of damage as well, it becomes a lot more difficult then for Cryin to have access to the map, right? Because he doesn't have control over like, river and things like this, he can actually push up and then look for picks. And if OMG are the ones that are in the driver's seat, they can still do a lot of work in towards the like team fights, and also over towards like being able to roam Creme around. And we're in the same situation as last game where you end up with these double AP solo laners. So Creme going for a quick force of nature after he gets the Fimbulwinter is probably going to be his best bet and make it really difficult for Ultra Prime to deal with him on side lanes.
Well, we'll see what they want to try and go for. Again, like you said, OMG very much in the advantage. You have got a fairly decently fed Jayce. Shanji there sitting on pretty decent amount of gold, and also got himself the Eclipse working towards that Mana Mune, which will hopefully be turned into a Mer Mana. And working down towards the different items, you do have the Turbo Chem Tank now finished up for Aki. I haven't seen him go for the Mana Mune build, something that I have seen quite a bit. Maybe it's just a, again, preference as such. We are going to see Cleanse have to be burned straight away there. The bot side is Elk lost away that particular summoner, but should pretty much have it before any real fight breaks out. So not the worst in the world, as most first items are being picked up across the board.
Yeah, we don't really see the Mana Mune Hecarim. It's more of a solo queue build. Coming into competitive, it's just about providing that front line. And oftentimes, because you've got these late game damage dealers, right? Like in the Jinxes, the Aphelios, these kind of things. You don't really need to provide damage. Like Jinx will just 1v9 an entire game. So just having a bit more tanky stats and a bit more of a front line for that Jinx is oftentimes more valuable. So in these, in a competitive at least, we're still seeing just full tank, like go towards the Chem Tank, Force of Natures, and Dead Man's Plate specifically going to be picked up next by Aki as well. Just because you kind of like synergize well with faster Hecarim moves, the more damage he does, and as well you get those tanky stats alongside a slow, which always works out well.
Well, Rift are going to be prioritized here by OMG. They have rotated their bot lane up towards that mid lane. Gold card lands, as is the Everfrost. Creme doesn't hit his, sadly. Doesn't reach it out to the boat. But this is a bit of a trade here. So you're giving free time and experience to Elk to get himself back into this game, back into this kind of series as such after that very disastrous start for him. And you are trading it for Rift Herald, but that's a tower now for a tower later. It's basically the same kind of trade, and it feels like OMG just a little bit over-indexing into that one there.
I agree. Definitely should have had Shanji try and move down towards that bot side, because you've basically just seen OMG leave Shanji to his own devices in this top lane, but it's not doing anything for them right now, right? Like, try and use the advantages that you picked up early in this Jayce to rotate him down towards bot side. If you end up in a situation where Elk and ShiauC kind of just match you and it's a 1v2 lane, you can always move Cole down to that position and make sure that he's going to be alright. But realistically, just move Aki down and you can try and have Abel and Cole take bot or top tower instead, because you've still got like range in the 1v2 versus the melee in the 1v2 of ZS. So you've got options here as OMG, and the fact that Shanji just kind of stopped and stuck here means that you're not getting more towers down. You're not kind of like creating these issues for Ultra Prime as you start to move towards the mid game.
I want to say ZS actually has a little bit of experience leading the top side. We see level 11 there for Shanji just happening now, but about half a level or so ahead as we start to move down towards our focus on this dragon. 50 seconds, both teams with one apiece. I don't think either side really, though, going to be too bothered with having to give up a second one if they don't feel like they're in a position to contest it. But as I say that, we are going to see Shanji from OMG start to rotate his way down towards this mid lane. Not going to use the fact that he has got the Unleashed teleport to probably just meet and match ZS on the top side. And Ultra Prime as well. Not ones to be outdone. They're the ones that are going to try and maybe get a flank off with this Gwen. If they can get ZS onto this back line using that needlework, using the skip and snip, it can do a lot. But you know what else could do a lot? Those shock blasts, because my god, Elk's health bar just disappeared, and they've already used the Destiny Gate just to get Cryin to defend.
Yeah, trying to move into position. Gold card pulled though means that they won't be able to clear the wave, so they're gonna stand for the moment.
Oh, we just see Hacker going in. He goes in, but pops his own Crescent Guard, and this is just a delay right now. So you are going to lose out the Dragon, but ZS doing a lot of work in this top side. TP coming in, that's going to be Shanji answering.
Shanji moving up here is not a good idea for OMG, because ZS now has TP advantage, and he can TP into the fight if they want to, but they're actually just going to make a play on Shanji. They're moving up top.
They're going for him. He will get a knockback off, and the needlework will just be used to clear the wave, so... Now you got yourself a little bit of a push and pull. Elk left here on his lonesome to try and defend this turret. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it as Aki is off onto the side. ShiauC now here, but it is a dragon and a turret for just a turret. So OMG trading up. Ultra Prime still keeping the gold relatively even, but it is still options up here for OMG.
I mean, that's a pretty sizable trade advantage. Even if it's like not even thinking of like dragon, it's just the priority that mid turret gives to OMG is so high, right? You can get vision established on top side, makes it really difficult for Cryin or ZS, whoever it might be, to try and like successfully push at top side. It means that you don't really get control over that that half of the map anymore. And for OMG, that's you're in a really good spot if that's the case, because with the 4 kills that Creme has, their team fighting is looking kind of insane. So by shutting down the opportunity for Ultra Prime to like push out waves and move to try and find picks, then OMG can play towards their team fight victory, which is looking more and more likely just with the Thimble Winter's approach, picked up for Creme now. And then I would actually prefer MC to go towards the Force of Nature. We kind of already talked about the fact that you've got the double AP solo laners there, but actually just going to be going straight towards the Frozen Heart.
Yeah, I'm going to try and make sure that he's got that extra survivability. Of course, Elk going towards the relatively newly founded lethality builds that you tend to build now onto the Xayah. You are very short range, so you're looking for that burst. If you get on top of somebody, you're not going for the full crit anymore. Now Ultra Prime, they're just kind of picking up their waves. It's 2 towers apiece, 2 dragons in favor of OMG to the 1 of Ultra Prime, and gold only about 600. We are seeing now second and third items starting to be built and completed. Big item spike here for Cryin, though. He has got the rapid fire cannon, so he will be able to get those long range Destiny Gates going for him, and should OMG overextend, they will be in a lot of trouble. But as you said, on the other side, the Thimble Winter finally upgraded here for Creme, and that's going to mean that he's going to be able to contain himself and also that damage very, very well should he be caught lacking.
OMG though, pushed mid, now trying to move down to this bot side. I like what they're doing, trying to invest resources into taking down more of these outer structures, the last outer structure, and the Cryin on top side. You can't really defend this as Ultra Prime.
I mean, he has TP, Unleash TP is available here, so they have to respect him. With all 5 members here from OMG, that does give a little bit of free time. You can see they're pinging up towards that top side and saying, look, we need to answer this. We need to make sure we're not just losing this. And then in the fog of war, Cryin will make himself an absolute nuisance, because with that Destiny Gate, he is going to be able to try and jump into any particular fight anywhere. And
that's why as OMG, you have to be using these windows correctly, right? You can kind of see them lagging behind on how they wanted to get down to this bot side. Abel not really coming. Code wasn't sure if he was supposed to be mid or on this bot side. And it's this like lack of decisiveness there that gives Cryin the opportunity to push in top side. And as you rightly pointed out, Oshin, like move into fog of war. Abel then has to back off of mid because he can always get jumped on, especially ShiauC, like so potent and following up on Cryine's picks that's going to be the 1-2 combo they'll be looking to set up a lot of these. So now you have to re-establish control in these side lanes as OMG, but I mean, you've given the window here for Ultra Prime to reset themselves and have a little bit of an advantage when it comes towards the push inside. Still, tempo advantage for OMGs. You can see Creme kind of moving down and trying to see if he can make plays, but at least the moment, Ultra Prime are managing to defend reasonably well.
Wow, a TP coming in here from Cryin to try and answer onto bot lane, and the Destiny Gate as well, but it does force out Creme's TP in kind. So you lose 1 TP for another, but you also lost your Destiny Gate on top of it. So Cryin not really in a great position now to try and defend this dragon, but they might not look for it if they're able to get Abel. That's a lot of damage there from the feathers. Have to be so careful there with the deadly plumage coming in out here from Elk, and that's why we see this lethality build coming out so much. If you're able to get onto carries, especially squishies, it's just so powerful at taking them out so quickly.
Huge amount invested there from Ultra Prime though. Like, you've got Dragon in 40 seconds, right? You now have no Destiny Gate, no TP for Cryin. The Shreddy is also popped for ShiauC, and OMG now pushing in, and that long-range poke that you're about to see from Shanji is going to do work. Abel, don't go for the 1v1 against Elk right now, please.
You don't win it. I'm just going to be honest. You just don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. OMG now posturing aggressively around this mid lane to try and get themselves back into the Dragon Pit. They will clear out the wave. Look at ZS, he is creeping off, and he just finished off at Nashor's too, so he's on a bit of a power spike himself. Cryin with the gold card locked, looking to see if anyone just want to try and push forward, but they're very scared, OMG. They know that this is a good mid-game spike here for Ultra Prime. They don't want to try and throw this one away, as El just keeps pushing back this mid lane, keeps getting them a little bit more pressure. Needs to be very, very careful. We might see the feathers fly if he's too far forward, but for the moment it is Ultra Prime garnering control back. Now, what can you do here as OMG?
The big thing for Ultra Prime is trying to find these choke points that you can rally OMG into, but that's why OMG are backing away. They don't want to be caught. They want to fight in the open like here.
Yeah, they want to try and fight it. Both junglers getting stunned up here by opposition mid laners as the Dragon has been aggroed. We will see a reset coming in here for ShiauC. There's no real way of joining back into this. Yeah, glad he rethought about that as they now come in. The Scuttle Crab is going to go over to the way of Ultra Prime. Actually, no, never mind. It was stolen away there by OMG as the Dragon does get its aggro reset. Cryin sitting on about half HP. It's a very scrappy fight. The Solar Flare goes completely wide. They flash it on top of him, but there is the onslaught of shadows as the fight is 100% going to go in favor of the side of OMG. They will lose the Hecarim, but he's there for the engage. Now ZS needs to try and turn this in a one around, but he just cannot do it. It's going to be 5 kills for 1. Everything going for OMG to take the Dragon and go turn back for the big purple worm.
Yeah, Shanji just going to finish off this Dragon by himself. The rest of the team is going to move directly over towards the Baron. Creme is tanky enough to just absorb all that damage. And with Abel, who I imagine will have some better guns hopefully coming through soon, should be all right. Hacker up in 7 though, Aki in 8. Would be able to, I believe, kill that Baron before they get into a contest. But watch here, right? OMG play this really slow. They don't want to be in choke points because it sets up really nicely for the MC Hammer front line. And as well, all that feathers that are going to come through from the Xayah as well. So in this fight, instead, OMG spread out nice and thin. Great flash away from the Rakan engage as well. And it just means that there's nothing left in the tank for Ultra Prime. Baron not taken by OMG, because as we kind of said, like, Abel didn't really have the guns for purple and blue. Not really true for trying to take down a Baron. And you'd look as well as like how quickly Aki was going to be up. Hacker was going to be up. They didn't want to try and point flip that.
Yeah, they did get themselves on the soul point. I will say very unfortunate there for Ultra Prime. The gold card for Cryin literally fell off just as he threw his auto attack onto Creme. If he lands onto Creme, they get the quickness, they get the knockup. Creme is probably dead. No relevance in that fight, and it's a probably very different story. But again, this is what it is like about the top level of League of Legends. It is about inches, it's about small little moments like that that can need everything for your team fight, and why the gold card for Twisted Fate is so feared yet at the same time so pivotal for both teams.
I've never seen OMG establish control in this top side, and again, because OMG are constantly doing this push and shove maneuver, they're not giving the opportunity for Ultra Prime to look for picks with this Twisted Fate. OMG are constantly grouped, and this is what we talked about, falling behind, not good.
Here we go, they're going to go in with the quickness. They get the double knock-up as well. They're trying to burn down Aki as the feathers go flying. They've got a lot on the floor here as ZS finally gets himself into the fight. He did TP onto the back line, but Gwen is immune for the moment, but not exactly in the best positions to try and turn this fight. Now OMG getting a little bravado about themselves. They will back themselves away. A lot of damage there onto Elk. Shanji is really putting in the work here with this jayce, and now you've got the inside track into the mid lane.
Yeah, OMG trying to look for the re-engage there, realizing that, Feather Storm down for Elk gives them a lot more room. Also having the Hollowed Mist down for Gwen means that they can actually look to pick her off as well. So with that Onslaught of Shadows still available for Aki, OMG know they have a powerful position here to take over River once more, and also then move in towards the mid lane. Vision is established now for Ultra Prime in River though, so you do need to be careful as OMG. Still need to clear that one out and make sure you're not getting picked off by Ultra Prime as you do so.
I mean, there's no real reason for OMG to flip out the Baron right now. They can scale, they can keep going. You now have the Frozen Heart finished up for Creme, so he's even tankier than he was before. You can wait for 2 minutes or a little bit over it, and you will have an opportunity for a soul. And with this Mountain Soul, it is going to become so hard for the side of Ultra Prime to actually burn through it. Again, it's a lethality Xayah, it's not going to be able to burst through these shields, these extra resistances if you're able to build them up so quickly. And for Ultra Prime, you're running out of options here. You're only down about 3,000 gold, but it feels so much more.
Yeah, and it's the composition, right? Like, again, you don't win with a Twisted Fate in team fights, right? Like, if you look at, like, comparatively, Creme just way more AoE damage and does more damage and is tankier, right? You look towards the ability to try and play sides because Creme has this big advantage and all the other towers are down for Ultra Prime. The area on the map that Ultra Prime can try and make a play with this Twisted Fate is much more difficult because they've got to deal with waves that are about to hit their towers. The vision control that they can have to actually go, hey, we're safe to look for these plays before we invest in Destiny is way more difficult too. So from OMG, when they're able to just play these team fights a little bit easier and they got this nice lead, it just becomes so difficult for Ultra Prime to kind of answer for what OMG are able to do on the map.
Yeah, and OMG recognizing the fact now that they have pushed in most of the side lanes, they were able to say, look, we'll drop down a couple of pinks, make sure we have guaranteed vision for the moment, means Ultra Prime will have to clear that out before they can go for any real play onto the Baron. And yes, you have 3 items now onto Elk. Yes, you have 3 items onto Cryin, but having a look at the gold here, it's a big old difference in that top side, and it's becoming a bit of a problem. The Xin Zhao is getting caught out. Hacker had a great game one of the Lee Sin, but on the Xin Zhao so far has been just not really having the same level of impact, and it is starting to hurt his team.
And now, as the next dragon comes up once more, OMG already established in River. Again, like, the best place for Ultra Prime to try and fight these are these narrow chokes into River, where you can get a ton of feathers down, you can play on the front line with both the invulnerabilities of Xin Zhao and Gwen, and make sure that you're going to be all good. Like, you don't really have an awful lot of stuff for, like, OMG that can then answer, right? Because Shanji's damage is just going to be sent directly into that front line. Abel not going to be able to get on towards some of the core carries, but OMG now in this wide berth River as Destiny pop just to try and figure out where OMG is.
Yeah, ShiauC, you can see him a long flank right now, and Cryin with him as well. They're looking to try and just catch someone out towards this top side. We will see Hacker have to use his smite to keep himself alive. Now Dragon going down, but he has no smite available to him. The onslaught of shadows comes in as we can see the feathers going flying. Cole's dead though, and the Dragon has been secured here by Ultra Prime. Here comes ShiauC on the flank with the quickness and tries to get on top of the carries. And Ultra Prime though, their health bars are so low, and this Aphelios is so big. They cannot take any more damage, and they'll lose so many more people. Elk now caught between a rock and a hard place. He's trying to kite this one out as he tries to run away. The rest of OMG need to respect that. They don't get themselves a soul, but they should be able to turn themselves into the Baron.
They're going to move directly over towards that now. TP for Shanji there as well, so he'll be able to make his way back in. And for Ultra Prime, you had the steal. You had no right getting a steal, but you managed to get the dragon. Just back away. Don't take the ensuing fight. Especially when Hacker had already invested his smite and you managed to steal it away with the Gwen. Ultra Prime just needs to back away, but now OMG win the fight, and they don't get the dragon, but they'll take the more coveted prize up that Baron.
Look at the replay here, because again, look, it's Hacker in the pit by himself, and OMG kind of commit to taking him out, but they're very aware of the flank.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the smite there from Hacker, as he said, to like keep his health bar up. I don't know why Ultra Prime tried to DPS the dragon then, because it's just helping. But the fact that you managed to steal that away with the needlework, it's absolutely insane. But at this stage, back away. Like, look at your health bars. You cannot take this fight. Shanji going golden as well to even keep himself alive. But you're just walking into this massive Ryze who is destroying you.
I will say that stopwatch was very clutch from Shanji. If he gets the killed off, he's pretty much dead once that needlework comes out. He does not have that available to him. But Ultra Prime, they will survive the Dragon Soul for now. But like you said, Baron buff going to be much more important here for the side of OMG. You've got a Jayce and a Ryze, and alongside a Hecarim who can get himself into any lane he chooses. And that means that this split push composition is going to be very, very hard for you to deal with on Ultra Prime. You don't really have great wave clear either. You're a Twisted Fate and a Xayah, not exactly known for burning down minions.
Now OMG is starting to push through. As you can see, like, that damage is going to be insane from Shanji just being able to poke down. Underneath these kind of siege situations, you've got like Creme who can do a decent amount as the engage.
Is the engage, the quickness, the double knock-up. Creme has to flash away. The Zenith is doing so much, but the Aphelios is just bigger. He goes forward, gets himself a double kill. ZS goes gold, and they will lose the Leona, but the Gwen has fallen. Now Elk, the only real damage dealer left, he's already fallen. It's a triple kill coming in here. It's going to maybe even be a quadra kill as they finally get everything done and dusted. OMG fight back in game 2 and send us to a 3-game series.
And just like that, OMG wake up. We said they looked a little bit rusty coming into game number 1. They look a hell of a lot cleaner in game number 2. And now, the game 3 on the cards. Can OMG keep this ball rolling?
It's the second game. We're seeing the priority of this Ryze just skyrocketing, in my opinion. It's just becoming such a big pick for everyone in